Hyunwoo walked through the tall glass doors of the Galactic Council building. His simple black suit looked cheap next to the fancy clothes worn by other ambassadors. The lizard-like Vorthak wore golden armor that sparkled under the bright lights. The crystal beings called Nethys had bodies that glowed with inner fire. Even the floating energy creatures known as Lixari seemed to shine brighter than any human could. "Ah, the human arrives," said Ambassador Keithvar, a tall Vorthak with dark green scales. His voice carried the sound of rocks grinding together. "Still wearing those primitive clothes, I see." Hyunwoo smiled and bowed his head slightly. "We humans make do with what we have, honored Keithvar. We are grateful for any wisdom the Great Council can share with us." The other ambassadors barely looked at him as he took his seat. Humans had been part of the Galactic Council for only 50 years. Most species saw them as newcomers who had nothing important to offer. They lived far away at the edge of known space where few other beings wanted to go. Human ships were slow and basic. Their weapons were simple. Their technology seemed hundreds of years behind everyone else. But Hyunwoo knew something the others did not. As he sat listening to debates about trade routes and mining rights, his earpiece crackled with a quiet voice. "Data collected from today's session," whispered the voice. It belonged to Tae-young, hidden in a ship floating just outside the station. "The Vorthak are planning to expand their territory next month. The Zephyrians want to build new hive worlds in Sector 7. The Luxari are having energy shortages in their core systems." Hyunwoo touched his ear once to show he understood. Every word spoken in this room was being recorded. Every hand gesture was being studied. For 50 years, humans had been the perfect students, learning everything they could about their teachers. Far away in the darkness between stars, the colony ship Teguk drifted through space. From the outside, it looked like an old cargo vessel that might fall apart at any moment. Its hull was covered with patches and repairs. Its engines glowed with a weak blue light. Any alien who saw it would think the humans inside were struggling just to keep their ship working. So Jin knew better. She stood in the ship's real engine room, 3 levels below the fake one that visiting aliens were sometimes shown. Around her, machines hummed with quiet power. The walls were covered with screens showing star maps, energy readings, and data about alien ship movements across the galaxy. "Captain Dong-hyun wants to see you," said one of her workers, a young man named Ki-tae. Sojin nodded and walked through corridors that looked old and worn on the surface. Hidden behind false walls were some of the most advanced machines in the galaxy. Humans had been collecting alien technology for decades. Every broken alien device they could find was brought back to ships like this one, and taken apart piece by piece. But they did not just copy what they found. They made it better. The elevator that took Sojin to the bridge looked like it might break down, but it moved faster and more smoothly than anything the aliens had built. The bridge itself was a work of art hidden behind cheap-looking panels. Captain Dong-hyun stood at the center, watching dozens of screens that showed the locations of every alien ship within 100 light years. "We have visitors coming," Dong-hyun said without turning around. He was a thin man with graying hair, but his eyes were sharp and bright. 3 Vorthak ships. They call it a survey mission, but they're really here to see what we have." So Jin joined him at the main screen. The 3 alien ships were big and powerful, each one carrying enough weapons to destroy a small moon. Their hulls gleamed with advanced armor. Their engines burned with the white-hot fire of military-grade power cores. "Should we prepare the defenses?" Sojin asked. Dong-hyun smiled. "Not yet. Let them see what they expect to see. A weak human colony ship with basic technology and scared crew members. We've been playing this game for a long time." The Vorthak ships arrived 6 hours later. They moved in perfect formation, their weapons scanning the human vessel. So Jin watched from the fake engine room as Dong-hyun spoke with the alien commander. "Greetings, human vessel," came a voice that sounded like metal scraping against stone. "I am Commander Veltar of the Vorthak Survey Fleet. We are here to catalog your ship and determine its resource value." "Of course, honored Commander," Dong-hyun replied, his voice sounding nervous and weak. "We welcome the great Vorthak Empire to inspect our humble vessel. Please be careful with our equipment. Much of it is very old and breaks easily." So Jin had to keep herself from laughing. The old equipment the aliens would see had been specially built to look primitive. Hidden beneath the floor, machines that could tear apart a Vorthak warship hummed quietly, waiting for orders that would hopefully never come. The aliens sent over a team of inspectors. They wore heavy armor and carried weapons that could cut through steel. Their leader was a female Vorthak with red markings on her scales. She looked around the ship with obvious disgust. "Primitive," she said to her team. "Look at these power readings. Their engines are barely working. Their weapons are ancient projectile throwers. How do these humans even survive in space?" One of her soldiers found the fake engine room. He pointed his scanner at the machines inside and shook his head. "These power cores are at least 200 years old, Commander. I've seen cargo haulers with better equipment." The inspection lasted 4 hours. The aliens found exactly what they expected to find: a struggling human colony ship with outdated technology, and a crew that seemed grateful for any help they could get. They took detailed scans of everything they were allowed to see and recorded every conversation. When they finally left, Commander Veltar sent one last message to Captain Dong Hyun. "Your vessel has been catalogued, human. The Empire will consider your needs when we allocate resources to this sector. Perhaps we can provide you with newer equipment in exchange for mining rights to nearby asteroids." "Thank you, wise Commander," Dong Hyun replied. "We would be honored by any assistance the Great Empire can provide." As soon as the Vorthak ships disappeared into hyperspace, the real activity began. Hidden sensors throughout the Teguk had recorded every detail about the alien vessels. Their weapon signatures, shield frequencies, engine emissions, and communication protocols were already being analyzed by advanced computers. Sojin returned to the real engine room, where teams of scientists were studying the new data. In another part of the ship, experts in alien psychology were reviewing recordings of every word the Vorthak had spoken, looking for clues about their plans and weaknesses. "How long before they realize what we really are?" asked Kaite. Sojin looked at the screens showing alien ship movements across the galaxy. Hundreds of species went about their daily business, never knowing that humans were watching and learning from everything they did. "Hopefully never," she said. "But if they do figure it out, they're going to be very surprised by what they find." 3 days passed before anyone noticed that Commander Veltar's survey fleet had gone silent. The Vorthak Empire's communication center on their homeworld tried to contact the 3 ships every few hours, but received no answer. At first they thought it was just a problem with long-distance communications. Space was big and signals sometimes got lost. On the 4th day, the Empire sent a faster ship to find out what had happened. The scout vessel reached the area where the survey fleet should have been and found nothing. No ships, no wreckage, no trace that 3 powerful warships had ever been there at all. The only clue was a single message beacon floating in empty space. When the scout ship brought it aboard and played the recording, the crew heard Commander Veltar's voice, but it sounded strange and frightened. "Day 3 of our survey mission," the recording said. "We have encountered something impossible. The human vessel we inspected yesterday has vanished, but our sensors show it is still there. We can see it on our screens, but when we try to touch it or scan it, there is nothing. The ship exists and does not exist at the same time." The voice paused, and in the background, other Vorthak could be heard arguing in their own language. "The humans contacted us this morning," Veltar continued. "They wanted to show us something. They said they had new technology to share, but when we arrived at the meeting point, we found ships that should not be possible. Human vessels that bend space around them. Weapons that think and plan. Our computers cannot understand what we are seeing." Another pause, longer this time. When Veltar spoke again, her voice was barely a whisper. "They knew everything about us. Our ship designs, our weapon types, our military codes. They spoke to us in perfect Vorthak, using words that only our highest commanders should know. They showed us recordings of our private meetings, conversations we had in secure rooms on our homeworld." "How is this possible?" The recording ended there. News of the missing survey fleet spread quickly through the galaxy. The Vorthak Empire demanded answers, but no one had any to give. The Galactic Council held emergency meetings to discuss what might have happened. Some thought the ships had been destroyed by space pirates. Others worried about new alien threats from outside known space. 3 species decided to investigate for themselves. The crystal beings called Nethys sent a science vessel to study the area. The hive-minded Zephyrians dispatched a group of their warrior drones. The energy creatures known as Luxari formed a task force of their brightest minds. All 3 expeditions arrived at the edge of human space within days of each other. They found the research station Arirang floating peacefully among the asteroids, its lights glowing softly in the darkness. The station looked old and simple, like something humans might have built from spare parts and hope. Dr. Haywan watched the alien ships approach from her laboratory deep inside the station. Around her, tanks filled with green liquid held specimens from dozens of different species. Each tank was labeled with careful notes about alien biology, genetics, and weaknesses. 3 different groups, she said to her assistant, a young woman named Su-Jin. Perfect. We can test our research on all of them at once. Haywan had been studying alien life forms for 20 years. The galaxy thought she was just a curious scientist who wanted to learn about different species. They did not know that her real job was finding ways to hurt them if humans ever needed to defend themselves. The Vorthak were strong and tough, but their scales became soft and weak when exposed to certain chemicals. The crystal Nethys could live for thousands of years, but specific sound frequencies could shatter their bodies like glass. The energy-based Luxari seemed impossible to hurt, but Haywan had discovered they needed a certain type of radiation to survive, and without it, they would fade away like dying stars. The 3 alien fleets moved carefully toward the research station. They expected to find scared humans who would beg for protection. Instead, they received a friendly message from Dr. Haywan, inviting them to come aboard and see her work. Welcome, honored visitors. Her voice came through their communication systems. We are excited to share our discoveries with such wise species. Please send your representatives to Docking Bay 7. We have prepared a special presentation just for you. The aliens were suspicious, but their curiosity was stronger than their fear. Each group sent a small team to the human station. The Vorthak sent 5 soldiers in heavy armor. The Nethys sent 3 scientists whose crystal bodies glowed with inner light. The Luxari sent a cluster of energy beings that looked like living lightning. They met in a large room that seemed designed for scientific presentations. The walls were covered with charts showing alien biology and star maps. Dr. Haywan stood at the center, smiling warmly as her guests took their places. Thank you all for coming, she said. Today I want to show you something amazing. For many years, we humans have been studying the wonderful diversity of life in our galaxy. We have learned so much from all of you. She pressed a button and the lights dimmed. A holographic display appeared in the air, showing detailed images of Vorthak anatomy. The alien soldiers stepped back in surprise. Your species has such interesting biology, Haywan continued. Your scales are nearly indestructible, but did you know they have a weakness? A simple chemical compound can make them as soft as human skin. She pressed another button, and gas began to flow from hidden vents in the ceiling. The Vorthak soldiers tried to reach for their weapons, but their armor was already dissolving. Their tough scales became soft and weak, and they fell to the floor, unable to move. The Nethys scientists started to run, but Haywan pressed a third button. Sound waves filled the room, tuned to the exact frequency that could break crystal bodies. The proud aliens who had lived for thousands of years cracked and shattered like expensive vases dropped on stone floors. The Luxari energy beings tried to escape through the walls, but found that the entire room was surrounded by radiation dampeners. Their bright forms began to fade as their life energy was slowly drained away. Please do not be afraid, Haywan said calmly as the aliens died around her. You have helped us learn so much. Your sacrifice will make the galaxy a safer place for everyone. When the alien representatives failed to return to their ships, the 3 fleets prepared for battle. They thought the humans had somehow captured their people and demanded their immediate return. None of them expected to face Captain Minho and his stealth destroyer Hanbok. The human ship appeared without warning in the middle of the alien formation. It was smaller than any of the alien vessels, but it moved like a living thing, dodging their weapons and striking back with impossible accuracy. Minho stood on his bridge, watching as his weapons tore through alien shields like paper. His ship's computer had been studying alien military tactics for decades. It knew exactly how each species liked to fight, what formations they used, and what mistakes they always made. The Vorthak always keep their command ship in the center, he said to his crew. The Nethys prefer long-range fighting. The Luxari think their energy shields make them invincible. Time to show them how wrong they are. The battle lasted less than an hour. The Hanbok moved through the alien fleet like a shark among fish, destroying ships with weapons they had never seen before. When the last alien vessel exploded in a ball of fire, Minho opened a communication channel to the survivors floating in space. This is Captain Minho of the Human Defense Force, he said. Your ships have been destroyed because you threatened our research station. Your representatives attacked our scientists and had to be stopped. We suggest you return to your home worlds and think carefully about visiting human space again. The few aliens who survived were picked up by rescue ships and brought back to their governments. They told wild stories about impossible human technology and weapons that seemed to know exactly where to strike. Most of their leaders thought the survivors were lying, or had been driven crazy by the shock of defeat. But some aliens were starting to wonder. The Vorthak survey fleet had vanished without a trace. 3 different species had lost ships to a single human vessel. The humans at the edge of the galaxy were acting like they had secrets worth protecting. Dr. Haywan cleaned up her laboratory and prepared new specimens for study. Captain Minho returned his ship to its hidden base and filed a report about the successful test of their new weapons. On distant worlds, alien leaders held emergency meetings and tried to understand what the humans were really doing in their quiet corner of space. None of them guessed the truth. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for 50 years, studying every species in the galaxy and learning their weaknesses. The age of alien superiority was ending, and most of them did not even know it yet. The galaxy was about to discover that the quiet humans at the edge of known space were not as helpless as they seemed. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was the largest in 50 years. Representatives from every major species filled the great chamber on Nexus Prime. The air buzzed with angry voices speaking in dozens of different languages. Everyone wanted to know what had happened to their missing ships and crews. High Chancellor Mordeth, a tall Nethys whose crystal body glowed with nervous energy, called for order. His voice rang through the chamber like music played on glass bells. "We are here to discuss the troubling events in human space," he announced. 3 separate expeditions have been lost. Ships have vanished. Crews have died. We demand answers. The other ambassadors shouted their agreement. The Vorthak delegation slammed their clawed hands on their desks. The Zephyrian hive mind buzzed with angry thoughts. Even the peaceful Corvani looked upset. All eyes turned to the human section, where Ambassador Hyun-woo's chair sat empty. "Where is the human representative?" Chancellor Mordeth demanded. "This council requires his presence to answer for his species' actions." A young aide stepped forward. "The human ambassador sent word that he will arrive shortly, honored Chancellor." "He asks for your patience," the alien delegates grew more angry. How dare the humans be late for their own trial? Some species began talking about sending war fleets to human space. Others suggested removing humanity from the council entirely. Then the great doors of the chamber opened and everything changed. Hyun-woo walked through the entrance, but he was not alone. Behind him came a group of humans wearing simple black uniforms. They moved with quiet confidence, their eyes taking in every detail of the chamber and its occupants. But it was not the humans that made the alien delegates fall silent. It was the ship they could see through the massive windows that looked out into space. The vessel floating outside the station was enormous, easily 3 times larger than the biggest Vorthak dreadnought. Its hull was smooth and dark, covered with strange patterns that seemed to shift and move when looked at directly. Weapons ports lined its sides, but they were unlike anything the aliens had ever seen before. "Forgive my lateness," Hyun-woo said, as he took his place at the human desk. His voice was calm and polite, but there was something different about him now. The nervous, humble human the council remembered was gone, replaced by someone who seemed completely sure of himself. "What is the meaning of this?" Chancellor Mordeth's crystal body flashed with angry red light. "No warships are allowed near council stations." "Remove that vessel immediately," Hyun-woo smiled. "That is not a warship, honored Chancellor. It is a diplomatic transport. We thought you might want to see what human engineering can really accomplish." The chamber erupted in angry voices. The Vorthak commander Kethavar stood up, his scales turning dark with rage. "You dare bring weapons to threaten this council?" he roared. "Your species will be destroyed for this insult." "Please sit down, Commander," Hyun-woo said quietly. "We are not here to threaten anyone. We are here to have an honest conversation for the first time in 50 years. One of the humans behind Hyun-woo stepped forward. She was a young woman with sharp eyes and quick fingers. Tae-young moved to a control panel that the aliens had thought was just decoration. When she touched it, screens appeared throughout the chamber. "What are you doing?" Chancellor Mordeth demanded. "That system is protected by the most advanced security in the galaxy." Tae-young looked up from her work and smiled. "You mean the security system?" she asked. Lines of code appeared on the screens showing the council's most secret files. "We have been inside your networks for 20 years, honored Chancellor." Every message you have sent, every plan you have made, every secret you have tried to keep. We have seen it all. The alien delegates stared in shock as their private communications scrolled across the screens. Plans to divide human territory between the major powers. Discussions about using humans as slave labor. Military strategies for conquering Earth. "This is impossible," whispered the Luxari representative, a being of pure energy whose form flickered with surprise. "Our encryption codes change every day. No one can break them." "Your codes are based on mathematical patterns," Tae-young explained patiently. "Humans are very good at finding patterns. We solved your encryption system 30 years ago, and have been reading your messages ever since." Hyunwoo stood up and walked to the center of the chamber. The alien delegates watched him with a mixture of fear and anger, but none of them moved to stop him. "For 50 years we have sat in this chamber and listened to your wisdom," he said. "We have played the role of the grateful students learning from our wise teachers. You have shared your knowledge with us and we have thanked you for every gift." He gestured to the screen still showing alien secrets. "But you have also plotted against us. You have planned to take our worlds, enslave our people, and use our resources for your own benefit. You thought we were too primitive to understand what you were really planning." Another human stepped forward. This one was older, a woman with silver hair and eyes like steel. Admiral Su-young wore the uniform of a military officer, but her rank insignia were unfamiliar to the alien delegates. "My name is Admiral Su-young of the Human Defense Fleet," she announced. "I am here to tell you about our real capabilities." She nodded to Tae-young, who brought up new images on the screens. The aliens saw ships unlike anything they had imagined. Sleek vessels that seemed to bend space around them, weapons that glowed with contained starfire, space stations hidden in the dark between stars. "We have been busy while you thought we were struggling to survive," Admiral Su-young continued. "Every piece of technology you have shared with us, we have studied and improved. Every weakness you have shown us, we have learned to exploit. Every strength you have demonstrated, we have found ways to overcome." The Vorthak commander could not stay silent any longer. "You lie," he shouted. "Humans do not have the knowledge to build such things. You are showing us fantasies and dreams." Admiral Su-young smiled. "Would you like a demonstration, Commander?" Before anyone could answer, she spoke into a small device on her wrist. "Fleet Command, this is Admiral Su-young. Please show our guests the 3rd Squadron." Through the chamber's great windows, the aliens watched in horror as ships began to appear around the station. Not one or two vessels, but dozens. Each ship was different, built using technology stolen from different species and made better by human engineering. There were vessels that looked like improved Vorthak dreadnoughts, but faster and more powerful than the originals. Ships based on Nethys crystal technology glowed with energy that could shatter planets. Craft using Luxari energy systems burned with the light of captive stars. "Impossible," whispered Chancellor Mordeth. "How many ships do you have?" "More than you do," Admiral Su-young replied simply. "We have been building in secret for decades. While you fought wars against each other, we were preparing for the day when you would try to destroy us." The third human who had come with Hyunwoo finally spoke. Ji-hoon was younger than the others, but when he talked, even the angry alien delegates found themselves listening. "We do not want to fight you," he said, his voice calm and reasonable. "We never wanted to be your enemies. All we wanted was to live in peace and learn from the amazing species that fill our galaxy." He gestured to the screens, showing alien military plans. "But you have made it clear that peace is not possible. You see us as resources to be harvested, not as equals to be respected. You have forced us to become something we never wanted to be." "And what is that?" asked the Corvani representative, a small, furry being whose species had always been kind to humans. Ji-hoon's expression was sad but determined. "The most dangerous species in the galaxy." The chamber fell silent. Outside the windows, the human fleet waited in perfect formation. Inside, the alien delegates struggled to understand how everything they thought they knew had turned out to be wrong. Hyunwoo returned to his seat and looked around the chamber at the species who had planned to destroy his people. "We have a choice to make today," he said. "We can continue to pretend that nothing has changed, that humans are still the weak species you remember. Or we can be honest about what has happened and decide how to move forward." He paused, letting his words sink in. "The age of alien superiority is over. The question now is whether the age of cooperation can begin, or whether we must enter an age of human dominance instead. The choice is yours, but choose carefully. We have been preparing for this moment for 50 years, and we are ready for whatever you decide. The great chamber stayed silent for a long time as the alien delegates tried to understand their new reality. Outside, the human fleet waited patiently for orders that might reshape the galaxy forever. The great powers of the galaxy made their choice within a week. Pride, fear, and anger won over wisdom. The Vorthak Empire, the Nethys Collective, the Zephyrian Hive, and the Luxari Confederation formed an alliance that had never existed before. Old enemies became allies, united by their hatred and fear of humanity. We will not bow to these primitive apes, declared Emperor Zethkar of the Vorthak Empire during a secret meeting on the fortress world of Kolarth. They have been lucky, nothing more. Their tricks will not work against the combined might of the galaxy's greatest civilizations. The Allied fleets began gathering in the Zirion system, just outside human space. Ships arrived every day from across the galaxy, massive Vorthak dreadnoughts with armor thick enough to survive the explosion of a star. Elegant Nethys vessels that could slice through enemy hulls with beams of pure light. Swarms of Zephyrian fighters controlled by the collective mind of their species. Luxari energy ships that burned with the power of captive suns. Within 2 weeks, the largest military force in galactic history floated in formation around Zirion Prime. 5,000 warships, carrying enough firepower to destroy entire solar systems. The alien commanders were confident that no force in the galaxy could stand against them. They were wrong. General Kyungsu stood in the command center, buried deep beneath the surface of Colony World 7. Around him, screens showed the alien fleet gathering at Zirion. His staff watched the enemy ships with calm interest, counting weapons and analyzing formations. They have made the same mistake every conqueror makes, Kyungsu said to his officers. They think that more ships mean certain victory. They do not understand that the most important battles are won before the first shot is fired. His aide, a young captain named Jaemin, looked up from his reports. Sir, the enemy fleet will outnumber us 10-1 when they attack. Should we call in reinforcements from the other colonies? Kyungsu shook his head. What we have here will be enough. Besides, this is not really about ships and weapons. This is about showing the galaxy who we really are. 3 levels below the command center, Dr. Yoon-hee put the finishing touches on humanity's most terrible weapons. Her laboratory was filled with devices that looked harmless but could destroy entire species. Sonic generators tuned to shatter Nethys crystal bodies. Electromagnetic pulse bombs designed to break Zephyrian hive mind connections. Energy dampeners that could starve Luxari beings of the radiation they needed to live. The aliens think this will be a normal space battle, she explained to her research team. Ships shooting at ships until one side runs out of ammunition or courage. They do not realize that we have been studying them for 50 years, learning their weaknesses, preparing for this exact moment. She held up a small device that looked like a simple metal sphere. This contains a virus designed specifically for Vorthak computer systems. Their ships will turn against each other within minutes of being infected. They will destroy themselves more efficiently than we ever could. Meanwhile, Young-woo worked in a hidden facility that officially did not exist. As humanity's top artificial intelligence developer, he had spent decades creating computer minds that could think faster and more clearly than any biological brain. His greatest creation was the Defense Grid, an AI network that connected every human weapon, ship, and soldier into a single fighting force. The aliens still think war is about courage and honor, Young-woo told his team of programmers. They make decisions based on emotion and pride. Our AI systems make decisions based on mathematics and logic. They will be fighting against an enemy that can predict their moves before they make them. The alien fleet moved toward human space like a wave of destruction rolling across the galaxy. Their commanders were confident and their crews eager for battle. They expected to find scattered human colonies defended by primitive weapons and frightened soldiers. Instead, they found fortress worlds that had been preparing for war for decades. The first alien scouts reached Colony World 7 and saw what looked like a normal human settlement. Cities spread across green continents with space elevators reaching up to orbital stations. Ships moved peacefully between the planets, carrying cargo and passengers. But when the main alien fleet arrived and opened fire, the peaceful colony transformed into something from a nightmare. The ground itself seemed to come alive as hidden weapon systems rose from beneath farms and cities. Mountains split open to reveal missile silos that had been carved from solid rock. The space elevators were not just for transportation. They were massive railguns that could fire projectiles at near light speed. "This is impossible," gasped Admiral Morketh of the Nethys fleet as his ships came under attack from weapons that should not exist. "Our intelligence said this was a farming colony with minimal defenses." His crystal body flickered with panic as human missiles tore through his formation. Each projectile seemed to know exactly where to strike, hitting weak points in alien armor with impossible accuracy. General Kyung-soo watched the battle from his underground command center. His enhanced soldiers, genetically modified using techniques learned from studying alien biology, coordinated the planet's defenses with superhuman efficiency. They moved faster than baseline humans, thought more clearly under pressure, and felt no fear in the face of overwhelming odds. "Phase 1 complete," reported Captain Jamin. "Enemy advance formations have been stopped. Beginning Phase 2. Dr. Yunhee's weapons began their terrible work. Sonic bombs exploded among the Nethys ships, sending out waves of sound tuned to the exact frequency that could shatter crystal bodies. The proud aliens who had lived for thousands of years died screaming as their bodies broke apart. Electromagnetic pulse devices detonated near the Zephyrian swarms, cutting the psychic links that connected the individual fighters to their hive mind. Suddenly, thousands of enemy pilots found themselves alone in their cockpits, confused and terrified without the comforting presence of the collective consciousness. Energy dampeners hidden throughout the system activated, creating fields that drained the life force from Luxari vessels. The beings of pure energy that had thought themselves invincible began to fade like dying stars. "How are they doing this?" demanded Emperor Zethkar from his flagship. "How do the humans know our weaknesses so precisely?" His question was answered when Dr. Yunhee's computer virus infected his ship's systems. The Vorthak had always been proud of their advanced technology, but they had never imagined that someone might turn it against them. Their own ships began firing on each other as the virus spread through their fleet. Young Wu's artificial intelligence network coordinated the human response with cold efficiency. Every alien ship was tracked, every weakness exploited, every mistake punished. The AI minds could process information faster than any biological brain and make tactical decisions in microseconds. But the true horror for the alien fleets was not the advanced weapons or the artificial intelligence. It was the realization that every move they made had been predicted and planned for. The humans fought like they had been studying alien military tactics for decades because they had. "They know everything about us," whispered Admiral Velthais of the Luxari Confederation as her energy form began to weaken. "Our formations, our strategies, our psychological weaknesses. How is this possible?" The answer came from General Kyung-soo himself, speaking on an open channel that every alien ship could hear. "For 50 years we have watched you." His voice carried across space to every enemy vessel. "We have studied your wars, learned your tactics, mapped your thoughts. You believed we were primitive students, grateful for any knowledge you chose to share. In reality, we were scientists studying laboratory specimens. The alien fleets tried to retreat, but found their escape routes blocked by human ships that had appeared from nowhere. Stealth vessels like Captain Minho's Hanbok emerged from the darkness, their weapons already locked onto fleeing enemy craft. You came here to destroy us, General Kyung-soo continued. You brought the largest fleet in galactic history because you thought numbers would guarantee victory. But you made a fatal mistake. You assumed we would fight like you do, with courage and desperation and hope. His voice grew colder. We do not fight with emotion. We fight with knowledge, and our knowledge of you is complete. The battle that was supposed to crush humanity's rebellion lasted only 6 hours. When it was over, the greatest military force in galactic history was nothing but wreckage floating in space. A few alien ships managed to escape, carrying news of the defeat back to their home worlds. The galaxy learned that day that the quiet humans at the edge of known space were not the primitive species everyone had thought. They were something far more dangerous, patient predators who had been studying their prey for generations, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal their true nature. The age of alien dominance was over. The age of humanity had begun. 6 months after the Great Battle, the galaxy was a very different place. The proud empires that had ruled space for thousands of years now struggled to understand their new reality. Species that had never known defeat found themselves begging for mercy from the humans they had once dismissed as primitive. Director Jiwon stood at the center of Terra Prime, humanity's secret capital that had been hidden from alien eyes for decades. The massive space station was built inside a hollow asteroid, its existence known only to the highest levels of human government. From here, she could coordinate the activities of every human colony, fleet, and research facility across the galaxy. "Status report," she said to her aide, a young man named Tae-hyun, who had been promoted rapidly after showing exceptional skill in alien psychology. "The Vorthak Empire has lost 60% of its military strength," Tae-hyun replied, reading from a holographic display. "Their remaining ships are scattered across their territory, trying to maintain order. Several outer colonies have declared independence." Ji-won nodded. The proud Vorthak had built their empire on military might and the fear of their enemies. When that might was broken at Colony World 7, their subject species quickly realized they no longer needed to obey their lizard masters. "The Nethys Collective is in complete chaos," Tae-hyun continued. "Their crystal bodies take centuries to regrow after being shattered. Most of their leadership was killed in the battle. The survivors are arguing about whether to surrender or try to rebuild their fleets. And the others? The Zephyrian Hive has retreated to their core worlds. Without their psychic network to coordinate their military, they cannot function as an effective fighting force. The Luxari Confederation is slowly starving as we continue to operate energy dampeners throughout their territory." Ji-won walked to the great window that looked out into space. In the distance, she could see human ships patrolling the borders of what had once been alien territory. The vessels moved with quiet confidence, their crews secure in the knowledge that no enemy fleet could challenge them. But conquest had never been humanity's goal. They had something much more sophisticated in mind. "Bring up the integration reports," Ji-won ordered. New displays appeared, showing the progress of humanity's real plan. While the galaxy's attention focused on military defeats and political chaos, human agents were quietly taking control of alien societies from within. The process was almost invisible. Human traders offered advanced technology to struggling alien colonies. Human doctors provided medical aid to species affected by the war. Human teachers shared knowledge with alien students eager to learn from their new masters. But every gift came with hidden costs. The technology included monitoring systems that reported back to human intelligence. The medical treatments contained genetic markers that made aliens more susceptible to human influence. The education program subtly reshaped alien thinking to make cooperation with humanity seem natural and beneficial. "The Corvani are responding well to the integration process," reported Seung-hee, who had arrived for the daily briefing. As humanity's chief specialist in alien relations, she oversaw the delicate work of bringing other species into the human sphere of influence. "Their natural curiosity makes them eager to learn from us," Seung-hee continued. "We have established cultural exchange programs on 12 of their worlds. Within a generation, their children will think more like humans than like traditional Corvani." "Any resistance?" Ji-won asked. "Some of the older generation object to our influence, but the young ones see us as liberators. We saved them from Vorthak oppression and offered them knowledge their own leaders could never provide." "They are genuinely grateful," Ji-won smiled. Gratitude was much more powerful than fear. Species that chose to cooperate with humanity were treated well, given access to advanced technology, and allowed to maintain their cultural traditions. Those that resisted found themselves slowly isolated and weakened. "What about the major powers?" Ji-won asked. Seung-hee's expression grew more serious. "That is more complicated. The Vorthak Empire is still trying to rebuild its military. They refuse to accept that their dominance is over. Emperor Zethkar has declared that any Vorthak who cooperates with humans is a traitor to their species. Then they will continue to decline," Ji-won said calmly. "We do not need to destroy them. Time will do that for us." She was right. The Vorthak Empire had been built on the idea that they were the galaxy's natural rulers. When that idea was proven false, their entire society began to collapse. Young Vorthak left their homeworlds to seek better opportunities in human space. Scientists and engineers defected to work on human projects. Even their military officers quietly contacted human agents, offering their services in exchange for protection. "The Nethys are more interesting," Seung-hee continued. "Their crystal bodies make them naturally long-lived, but that also makes them very slow to adapt to change. Some of their surviving leaders want to negotiate, but they cannot agree on what terms to offer." "Let them debate," Ji-won replied. While they argue among themselves, their younger generations are already learning to see us as partners rather than enemies. The process was the same across the galaxy. Species that accepted human guidance prospered. Those that resisted found themselves gradually cut off from trade, technology, and the friendship of their neighbors. No force was used. No ultimatums were given. The aliens simply discovered that cooperation with humanity made their lives better, while opposition made everything harder. But the greatest shock came when Ambassador Hyunwoo returned to the Galactic Council for the first time since the Great Battle. The chamber that had once been filled with proud representatives from powerful empires was now half empty. Many species had withdrawn from galactic politics entirely, focusing on their own survival. Those who remained looked at Hyunwoo with a mixture of fear, respect, and desperate hope. The human ambassador who had once played the role of humble student now spoke with the quiet confidence of someone who held the galaxy's future in his hands. "Honored representatives," he began, his voice carrying easily through the mostly empty chamber. "We gathered today to discuss the future of our galaxy. The old order has ended. The question now is what will replace it." Chancellor Mordeth, one of the few Nethys leaders to survive the battle, stepped forward. His crystal body had been damaged and hastily repaired, leaving visible cracks that caught the light in strange ways. "What do you want from us?" he asked, his musical voice heavy with defeat. "Your species has demonstrated its superiority. Your weapons have shattered our fleets. Your agents work among our people. What more can you take?" Hyunwoo's expression was genuinely sad. "We do not want to take anything, honored Chancellor. We want to give. For 50 years we learned from you. Now we want to teach what we have discovered." He gestured to the empty seats around the chamber. "Look around you. The species that once filled this room are gone. Not because we drove them away, but because they chose isolation over cooperation. They preferred the comfort of old hatreds to the challenge of new partnerships." "And what of those who remain?" asked the Corvani representative, her furry face showing cautious optimism. "You will help us build something new," Hyunwoo replied. "Not a human empire ruling over conquered subjects, but a true galactic community where every species contributes their unique strengths to our common future." He paused, looking around the chamber at the few remaining delegates. "But first, we must deal with the threat that originally drove us to prepare for war, the reason humanity has been building weapons and studying our neighbors for 50 years. "What threat?" Chancellor Mordeth asked, his crystal body flickering with confusion. Hyunwoo activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy from above. The familiar spiral of stars and civilizations appeared in the air, but at the edges dark shapes moved in the empty space between galaxies. "Something is coming," Hyunwoo said quietly. "Our deep space sensors detected it 20 years ago. Ships from outside our galaxy, carrying life forms that make our previous conflicts look like children's games. They will arrive within the next decade." The remaining alien delegates stared at the display in shock. The dark shapes at the edge of the galaxy were enormous, larger than any ship ever built by the known species. "Why did you not tell us before?" Chancellor Mordeth demanded. "Would you have believed us?" Hyunwoo asked. "Would the great powers of the galaxy have set aside their pride to cooperate with primitive humans against an unknown threat? Or would you have dismissed our warnings as lies designed to gain power?" The chamber fell silent. Everyone knew the answer. "So we prepared alone," Hyunwoo continued. "We studied your strengths and weaknesses not to conquer you, but to understand how to defend you. We built weapons not to destroy your civilizations, but to preserve them against something far worse than any of us." He looked around the chamber at the shocked faces of the alien delegates. "The choice is still yours," he said. "Join us willingly as partners in preparing for what is coming, or continue to resist and face the darkness alone. But know this, whether you cooperate or not, humanity will be ready when the real enemy arrives." Director Jiwon watched the council session from Terra Prime, knowing that everything had changed once again.